Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of the MFHL Podcast. I'm your host, Graham, the gshow Forsyth. This week's edition of the podcast, I really hope that this isn't going to look like what I think it's going to, and no, it didn't actually. McCann Fasteners and Tools sponsoring us for another week. Thank you to them for continuing to sponsor and support G-Show Productions. We're also brought to you by Terrico serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years, and also in Goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. Be sure to check out their website at GordyTummelsonGoalies.ca today or tonight to find out what exactly they do, going more into depth into what they do. As for the MFHL, in terms of this past week, it was an eventful past week in terms of what the scores were looking like, and that's actually a game that we're going to be doing coming up on Saturday. More information on that coming up later in the show. But in terms of the scores, it started off with Winnipeg Ice winning by a score of 5-1 against the Interlake Lightning, and then the Winnipeg Ice beating losing to the Lightning by a score of 3-1 to end off the past week 17 games in action. There were 4 games in action on Saturday as well, so all teams in the league played that night. And if we take a look at the standings after this week, the Winnipeg Ice still ahead in first place, but they had a real chance to secure first place fully with getting a win over Interlake. They'll have another chance to clinch first place coming up this weekend. But as for the Interlake Lightning, this is a team that is so close to winning their 10th of the season, something that I don't think has ever happened in their franchise's history, and a player that's been through all the ups and downs in Brooke Barylski joins me on the episode to start things off for tonight's episode 12, this edition of the MFHL Podcast, to talk about what it's like finally being able to see the rewards of sticking with something, even though it didn't come with the most success along the way. What it was like being able to sign pen to paper by committing to Midland University for the upcoming 2024-2025 season next fall, or this upcoming fall, and what's ahead still for this Interlake Lightning team to finish off their 2023-2024 regular season. You're watching the MFHL Podcast, brought to you by McCann Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. Joining me first here is Brooke Barylski, 5th-year player in the MFHL and captain of the Interlake Lightning on MFHL Podcast, episode 12. Enjoy, everybody. Brooke Barylski, number 15, captain of the Interlake Lightning, joining this edition of the MFHL Podcast. Brooke, got to start off with the big news that happened recently for yourself. Congratulations on your commitment to Midland University. I'm sure exciting news for yourself as well as anyone that's been supporting throughout your hockey journey. Talk about it, what the feeling was like signing your official commitment to there.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I had headed back down there to Midland in Nebraska back in November. Obviously, it took me a little bit of a while to commit as it's like a big decision, but I kind of knew as soon as I went down there, I had a great feeling. Kind of just like meeting the team and meeting the coach and just seeing the environment. I kind of just knew that was the place that I could see myself, and took a little bit to think about, but in the end, I'm super excited to see what the future holds for myself.
Yeah, first impressions, huge for sure, and great that you felt an instant connection to a place where you're going to be spending your next chapter of your hockey career at. Once the announcement was made, the news broke, what was it like? I'm sure you got a bunch of messages of congratulations and stuff. What's the support in that reaction, those reactions been like?
Yeah, honestly, it was quite crazy. I actually committed a few days prior to when it was announced. It was exam week, so we kind of actually delayed the announcement just because we knew that there was obviously going to be some interruptions, I guess, with my studying. So it honestly was just like great to feel all the love and support from people both close and far away, and like it's just, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to see like people that maybe you haven't talked to, or people that maybe you aren't that close with or don't know, and just the support you get from all around is just really like heartwarming, I guess.
Right. And I mean, a special moment for yourself and awesome for yourself to get congratulations from people you wouldn't thought you might have gone before the announcement was made. But going to Midland University, a place where a lot of MFHL talent has been going throughout the years, is that something that also excites you, knowing that you're going to be able to play with some players that played in that league, and especially with the other recent commitment with Natalie Rampton going there as well?
Yeah, it was definitely like a part where it was like, you know what, I can go there and I'm gonna be able to have a connection with someone around my, not my area, but within the same um town, or not town, but Manitoba, I guess. And just to know that there has been product out of there, and obviously they've been successful, was also just like a big like, this can work for me, and I'm not going to be alone through this journey.
And you got some time left in the Manitoba Female Hockey League before that moment comes for you to officially go to Midland University in the fall coming up. But speaking to you before this interview, you told me that it's technically your fifth year playing for this Interlake Lightning team. Talked about how you aged advanced and stuff like that. But what's the journey been like, starting off as obviously one of the younger players in the league to now being the captain in your fifth year?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a great opportunity, and like just shows how far you can come within like a program that's maybe not the top of the league or the most successful team. It's throughout our program, I feel like has really grown since I've started, to maybe winning only 2 or 3 games a season, to now like being able to compete with every team, being able to beat every team. It's just like crazy for me to think that growing up I was like, oh, like I need to go somewhere else, because Lightning, like before I started, I was like, oh, I can't play Lightning. Like this isn't gonna get me anywhere. But the program has came so far along the way, and it's honestly just brought me to become a better person, going through all those different challenges, and I think it's brought me to be my best self.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, this is a franchise, a program that historically has won about 2 or 3 games a season, where this year it's a bit of a different story. 9, 13, and 3. Like you said, going through the ups and downs that you've experienced firsthand with all the losing, obviously when the wins would happen, they were huge, but getting to win more consistently, does it feel like all of the hard work, I guess, going through those struggles finally feels like it's paying off?
Yeah, honestly, like this year it's been like almost a relief on the back shoulders. Obviously, where everyone makes playoffs, and at the start of the season, kind of when we were just building our mentality up, like we just were like, okay, everyone makes playoffs. Like these games don't matter. We just gotta try and win the week type of thing. But now throughout this season, we've worked ourselves to, okay, we can win the day type of thing. We've grown so much as a team and developed, and um, it's really great to see and really fun to play with, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, this is still a team that hasn't scored the most goals, only 40 and 25 games played, but makes it a bit easier when you got goaltenders like Rachel Halderson and Jane Sugimoto in net. What's it been like this season specifically, getting to play in front of these goaltenders that night in, night out give this team a chance to win?
Yeah, like all credit to them. They put their heart and soul into this game. They're training extra more than any of us. Behind the scenes, it's the mental game. It's kind of all the preparation leading up to the game. They're the ones that, well, yeah, they're kind of the ones that we can lean on in tough situations. For example, against the ice, we kind of lean on them, and it really helps us to show that when you have someone in the back helping you out, anything is possible.
Yeah, and I mean a Team Manitoba goalie and Rachel Holders, and super impressive seeing what your teammate Jane Sugimoto has done as well. But it's not just been obviously you need great goaltending to win the way you guys have been winning, but you girls have also been working extremely hard this year. We've had a chance to see it on G Show Productions. Can you take me through this season? Experience it firsthand. What you feel feels a bit different about this year's talent, the players on this year's Interlake Lightning squad?
Um, so through past years, it's mostly been like lots of Interlake girls and just a few city girls that have come along. But this year, we actually only have 3 Lightning girls, 4, I think. I don't know, somewhere there. But it's quite crazy to think that we're such a young team. Like majority of our team is all first years, which is really like mind blowing to see how they've really stepped up and to contribute to the team the way they have been doing throughout the season to get us to where we are today. Um, I like the development has been crazy, and from the start of the year to now, just we feel we're a totally different team in my eyes.
Yeah, and as the season has gone along, we've seen myself and everyone else has seen this Interlake Lightning squad continue to pile up the wins. Could very well finish the season with 10. But for yourself, not only is this team having the best season they've ever had since you've joined, but you're having your best season already, posting a career high in points with 14 and 25 games played. I've been able to watch you twice now calling games here G Show production. Seems like you're a player that not only can make an impact offensively, but very reliable in your own end as well. Is that the type of player you felt that you've been able to develop into not only that player that can be relied upon offensively, but in all ends of the ice?
Kind of throughout my whole hockey career, I've been more of a defensive type of player. Um, I would say like, especially playing on a not where a team where you score the most goals, you kind of realize that scoring isn't everything to become the best player or like to be the best of yourself. I think I just realized that you to win games you also need to be more defensive than offensive in some aspects of it. Obviously, it's nice to score and that's obviously rewarding, but to help back the defense and help our goalies out, I kind of like value that the most, I would say, in my play, and that's something I really focus on is being the first man back and just helping out that D and our goalies.
Yeah, and obviously a team this season that ranks fifth in goals against. Like you said, this is a team that hasn't scored the most goals throughout the time you've been there, and like you pointed to, you're more of that defensive type of forward, more satisfied with shutting goals down than and scoring them, even though you don't mind that as well, I'm sure. But do you feel like playing in a situation like Interlake has also been able to allow you to grow your defensive game to the point where it's at this season?
It's definitely brought me a place to grow and develop as seeing the other side of it. I used to play spring hockey in with the Manitoba North Stars, and that's where we played with Steph Jacobs and like Natalie Rampton, Rachel. So it was a very developed team, and I kind of seen both aspects of being a goal scorer and then coming to this team where it's like, okay, like we need to play defensive first, and I think that just the defensive game, I don't know, it's like kind of brought me to love that part more than scoring. When you're shutting down, say, someone like Stephanie Jacobs, or you're shutting down a big goal scorer in a big game, I think that's more rewarding to me than anything.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. And if you can shut down Stephanie Jacob, that speaks a lot about the type of player that you are, since she is the best player in the league this season. But the Interlake Lightning team has been able to take down Jacob and this Winnipeg Ice team twice this year, being able to beat the Ice not only once but twice the way this team has been able to do, battling in both these games. I'm sure that that also, in your opinion, speaks to how truly far this group has come again.
Yeah, honestly, just within the league, I just feel like whoever brings it that game has the chance to win. It's not like, okay, the ice is ranked number one. Like we're not beating them. Whoever shows up to the game can get it done. And I just think that our group this year is so tight knit that we have the mentality and the mindset coming into these past few games that we can beat these guys, and it really just shows. And like just in the dressing room, we've all been very close, and there's hasn't been any problems, which is really just, I think it's honestly shown on the ice these last little bit here how we've really just all came together.
Yeah, and I've been seeing how huge it's been this season, especially with if you have a strong knit tight group in the locker room, the success you could have on the ice could translate. And like you said, whatever team comes ready to play this season, it's been especially true this year. Anyone can beat anyone. This Interlake Lightning team, 3 games left in the regular season for the playoffs, locked into that sixth place spot pretty much. 3 games coming up against 3 opponents you girls can beat, but like you said, anyone can beat anyone, depending on who's prepared for it. The mindset heading into, I guess, this weekend coming up, with that on your girls' mind, what's going to be the week of preparation ahead for these upcoming games?
I think just, like take every game like it's the number one team, come to the game prepared to battle, and focus on the little things that you're going to do to win the game. And obviously focus, like every 10 minutes, our team's kind of been focusing on like the first 10 minutes, we got to do this, and then the next 10 minutes, we got to redo that type of thing. Whereas at the beginning of the season, our mindset was more, okay, we got to win this week, or we got to do something good. But I feel like now our mindset is, okay, we got to do this, and this, and it's going to happen if we keep our mind to it. And I just feel like if we stick to our game plan, be a tight-knit group, and I think things should work out for us.
Well, the process has been a huge part of why this Interlake Lightning team are having their best season in, I'd say, franchise history. A big 2 games coming up this weekend against the Central Plains Capitals and the Pembina Valley Hawks. Brooke Barylski, team captain and newest commit of the Midland University women's hockey team, joining this edition of the MFHL podcast. Brooke, best of luck to you and your teammates the rest of the way, and continuing to shock the MFHL world out here.
Thank you so much.
And Brooke Barylski, captain, fifth-year forward for the Interlake Lightning, joining this edition of the MFHL podcast. And yeah, just to take a look at the standings once again, Interlake having their best season in franchise history, on their way to potentially finishing the year with at least 10 wins, 3 games remaining on their schedule. They're one of 4 teams with 3 games remaining on their schedule coming up this week in the league. Taking a look at what we got coming up on Saturday. It's going to be 4 teams in action, but even before that, let's see if we can. No, yes, there we go. On Friday, the Pembina Valley Hawks taking on the Central Plains Capitals, Winnipeg taking on the Westman Wildcats, and then, of course, yes, getting to Saturday, when the Interlake Lightning will be taking on the Central Plains Capitals to start off their weekend. G-Show Productions will be live on location for the Eastman Selects versus the Pembina Valley Hawks for our second last MFHL game day coverage of the season. Pre-game show starts at 4 p.m. and puck drops at 4:15 p.m. for that contest. But to end off almost the last remaining regular season games of the 2023-2024 season. I know, it's crazy how fast it's truly gone, but it finishes off with a triple header this weekend. The Pembina Valley Hawks in Arborg to take on the Interlake Lightning, Yellowhead taking on the Avros in Shoal Lake, and Eastman taking on the Capitals at the Niverville Recreation Center at 6:30 p.m. Kind of a tough one out there for all the NFL fans, all the Swifties as well. as that game is smack dab in the middle of when the Super Bowl will be going. Should be a fantastic game. Kind of happy we don't have to be broadcasting that night, as this night comes only once a year. But lots of great things have been transpiring throughout this season. Lots of great storylines, and one of those is the Westman Wildcats, a team that has made the finals 2 years in a row, looking to make it back for a third straight season. And there were times this year where this team was slumping. They started off the season undefeated, lost a bunch in a row, but since late November, they've only lost, 2 games since November 24th, somewhere around there. They're currently on a 5-game winning streak in the league, currently coming off beating their rivals, the Yellowhead Chiefs, decisively. Back-to-back games this weekend, and who better to come on to talk about that weekend with me than Ivy Perkin, rookie forward and leading point getter for the Westman Wildcats. She's going to be coming on to talk about what it's been like joining this younger Westman Wildcats team in her rookie season compared to last year's older team that group had, what this past weekend was like, what her season's been like with Westman, and what's coming up this weekend for the Wildcats in their final 2 games of the MFHL season. You're watching the MFHL podcast here on G-Show Productions, brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools Terrico. And goaltenders up next, another number 15 in Ivy Perkin, rookie sensation for the Westman Wildcats, joining us next. Number 15, Ivy Perkin of the Westman Wildcats, joining the MFHL podcast. Now, Ivy, a huge past 2 games for this Westman Wildcats team, winning 4-1 and 5-2 over your rivals in the Yellowhead Chiefs. How huge was that, especially with the position you girls are at in the standings now in second place to get these 2 wins?
Yeah, it was a big couple wins, especially because they're our rivals, and we really need those points since we're nearing the playoffs.
For yourself, you were able to get on the scoreboard this past weekend, also posting 30 points this season, a career high compared to last year in 26 games so far. How huge was it for yourself, coming out of this weekend, being able to help your teammates out in that way?
Yeah, it's been good. I've found some chemistry with my line mates, so that's really helped me out, and I hope it continues into the playoffs.
Well, it seems like this team's chemistry is at its top level right now. A team that's only lost 1 time so far here in 2024, losing that 1 game against the Avros on the 14th in a close 1, 2-1. Since then, this team's rallied off a 5-game win streak in terms of league play. Talk about what it's been like seeing this all unfold as the season's gone along, seeing this team continue to play this way.
Yeah, I think we've really come together as a team, and in order to win, you need to play as a team. And we've really been able to trust each other and not think about ourselves and play a team game.
This team last year had probably the most experience out of any group in the MFHL. Of course, you came in as a rookie. This season, a bit different. Still returning players, but a good mix of younger players on the team. What's that been like, being dealt that hand, dealing with that, and playing with a younger group this year around the challenges that's posed, or how this team has been able to come through with that?
Yeah, we had a bit of a slow start, but we've all kind of played together. We have, I think, 8 rookies and 7 graduating players. So they've kind of welcomed us to the team, and we had a bit of a slow start, but we're starting to pick it up here.
For yourself, Ivy, you're in your rookie season with this Westman Wildcats team. What's it been like being able to make an immediate impact, putting up 30 points in 26 games? Not only that, but being this team's leading scorer as well.
Yeah, I've come together with my line mates, Reese Schutte and Kelsey Hybers. I really think that's helped because in order for me to play good, I need to get to know my line mates and know where they are on the ice. And it's just been really good so far.
Can you describe what it's been like building chemistry with those line mates as the season's gone along? Was it an instant connection or something that took a bit of time?
Well, we started off the year taking a bus trip to Calgary, so we just kind of got out of our comfort zones and got to know each other. And over the course of the year, I've just gotten to know everybody. And the lines have changed a lot, but I've been with Reese and Kelsey for a bit in the last month. So that's just really helped and we've come together.
That's great to hear, and I'm sure it speaks to just the trust that your coach has in you girls to keep this line together throughout this past month. How huge has that been in terms of that aspect for not only your confidence but your line mates as well?
Yeah, I think he's noticed that we've been playing good, so he's just kept us together. And yeah, hopefully that continues.
You had mentioned just now basically that bus trip in Calgary to start off the season where you got off on the right foot. Spoken about how this veteran group this season has been able to welcome in the rookies as well as yourself and the others. Has those been the big moments too throughout the bonding situations in terms of just traveling with the team and getting to know each other on the road like that this year?
Yeah, they've been very welcoming. We've been doing some team activities in hotels and stuff like that, just to get us all together and spend as much time as we can with each other.
For yourself, uh, you have put up, like already mentioned, 30 points in 26 games. Ivy leading the team in goals, 14 assists as well. As mentioned, second in the league in total goals behind Stephanie Jacob. But can you let the viewers at home know what type of player that Ivy Perkin is, what they should come to expect when they come to see you at the rink?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a flashy player, but I like to see the whole ice and pass the puck well. And then sometimes I just put in the net.
Yeah, when you feel like it, right? When you see that
Yeah.
opportunity, you kind of see red and you put that puck in the net for sure. Can you talk about what it's been like though for yourself being able to get in the right positions this season, being in the right spots to make yourself available to put in the goals you have this season?
Yeah, I've been working hard on the power play because at the start I wasn't the best at it, but I think I'm getting better as the course of the year has gone. And I don't know, I just battle for pucks and get to the open areas.
How huge do you think this is for yourself in your first year, of course, with 2 more years to go in this league after this one, to be trusted in those moments to play on special teams like the power play? How huge is that been, I guess, for your development in terms of, developing the confidence even further on the ice of being relied upon in those big situations?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get better each game and over the course of the 3 years, just keep getting better and better. And yeah, hopefully it just works out in the end and maybe we'll win the championship.
Got a chance to see a cool moment on social media of the U13 Hartney She Devils high-fiving the team, giving them fist bumps as they were going on the ice and giving loud cheers. Playing in Hartney this season, I haven't been able to get down there, but I've heard that the experience of their home games as well as Yellowheads are something pretty special. But how special has it been this season to be a part of this U18 group and get to experience the culture like that?
Yeah, we've had a few different girls teams come to our games and they tour our dressing room and it's been really good. Hartney's a small town, so it's good to have lots of people coming out to watch our games.
Does it give you girls an even bigger sense of pride knowing that these girls are kind of looking at the U18 Wildcats as role models and something somewhere they'd want to get someday in their hockey lives eventually?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They say that they look up to us and hope to be a Wildcat one day too.
Well, it would be fantastic to see some of those She Devils, or maybe even all of them, becoming Westman Wildcats someday. But for this team, definitely not going to be an easy end to the regular season. 4 points behind the Winnipeg Ice for the first place spot, taking them on Friday night in Hartney. 2 home games to end off the season, going up against the Winnipeg Avros the next day on Saturday night, with 2 Winnipeg teams coming to town, with the points on the line in the standings this week. What's the preparation been like heading into this one? Has it changed at all?
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough couple of games. We've had some big battles with them in previous games, but I think we just gotta keep our focus and play like we always do because we can beat them.
Yeah, and the girls have been able to show that this season. Lots of consistency shown throughout this Western Wildcats team. And for yourself, I mean, Ivy, you're going to be playing in your first ever playoff series coming up. Does that get you a bit more excited here at the end of the season, knowing that the first ever playoff game you're going to play for this U18 Wildcats team is just around the corner?
Yeah, don't have a lot of playoff experience. Last year we lost in the first round in E15, so it's gonna be tough, but I think we just gotta play like we always do. It's all about consistency.
Well, and this Westman Wildcats team has been just that throughout these past 3 seasons now, currently second place as we come to an end of the 2023-2024 MFHL regular season. And of course, finalists and champions 2 years ago, but finalists back-to-back years. Ivy, it's going to be exciting to see if you could be a part of potentially another Wildcats finals run this season coming up. Best of luck coming up this weekend, and thanks for coming on the show. Had a lot of fun talking to you.
Thank you.
Ivy Perkin, number 15, rookie forward for the Westman Wildcats, joining this edition of the MFHL Podcast, brought to you, of course, by Goaltenders, as you just saw, your goalie's personal video review service. Check out their website at GordyTumilsonGoalies.ca for more information about what they do, as well as Terrico. Check out their website at terrico.ca, serving Manitoba producers in the agricultural industry for over 80 years, and to make Canada fasteners and tools. Check out their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today. Your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to visit their website as well at makecanadafasteners.shop. And great getting to talk to Ivy Perkin, and also great to know what it means to the older players as well, right? What it feels like to be looked up at as leaders, mentors in the game, in their community, and of course to show you guys this moment now. Was able to figure out that the U9 She Devils were there by this video posted on X. Take a watch.
Keep going, girls! Woo! Loud! Woo! I got first prize! That's my bun! All right!
And yeah, just getting to see the looks, the reactions on those little girls' faces was priceless. A great moment, and that's what it's about, right? Especially for these older girls who at one point were looking at their own mentors, looking up at them with aspirations to get where they're at right now, playing in the best U18 female hockey league in the province. We'll get to the players of the week from week 17 in the league, starting off with the player of the week in Stephanie Jacob. Ended up having 5 goals and 3 assists in the 3-game weekend for Stephanie Jacob. Of course, continues to lead the MFHL with 45 points with 2 games remaining in the Winnipeg Ice's season. Congratulations to her, who also going to play for Maine University next season, or the University of Maine in NCAA Division 1. college hockey competition. And congratulations to goalie of the weekend, Danica Averill, who is now the wins leader in the MFHL. In front of everybody. She had a big weekend with 2 wins, 4-1 win on Friday, and of course that 5-2 victory being in net for the Westman Wildcats against their rivals, the Yellowhead Chiefs, this past weekend. And for this Westman Wildcats team, we'll take a look at the standings once more. They are now only 4 points back of the Winnipeg Ice for that first place spot. No matter what happens, though, if they get first or not, looking like they're well on their way. Depending on what happens, anything can happen, but this team looking like they're on their way to locking up that second seed at the very least. Heading into the playoffs, we are going to take it to another transition here, and I'll be back, myself, Graham the G Show Forsyth, to show you some highlights from some action last week. If you didn't watch last week's episode, I'm going to be showing the same highlights again, and then going to be going into talking about the stats leaders, seeing what's changed, what's remained the same, and as well as taking a look at the upcoming games coming up in the league. One last time here, up next on the MFHL Podcast for Episode 12, brought to you by McCann Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. Stick with us, folks. And welcome back to this edition of the MFHL Podcast, Episode 12, brought to you by McCann Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. McCann Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to check out their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today, as well as giving their website a visit at McCannFasteners.shop. But yeah, welcome back, everybody. Had a chance to speak to Brooke, Barylski, and Ivy Perkin in tonight's edition of the MFHL Podcast. They're going to be the only guests joining this week. Stay tuned for next week's edition of the show, when I'll have more players from around the league joining. And yeah, the season's almost coming to a close. There's one last game to be played on February 17th after this weekend. But yeah, in terms of a full action-packed weekend, this is the final one coming up of the MFHL 2023-2024 regular season. And beyond this regular season, no matter what happens in playoffs for these teams, the 15 players that got selected to this team will still be having some hockey to play once this MFHL season concludes in May. 15 players from the MFHL will be traveling to Grand Prairie, Alberta, to take on the competition at the 2024 National Aboriginal Hockey Championships. Team Manitoba's roster was released on January 26th, so this is some old news, but as you can see there, 15 players making up just over 60% of this year's roster. Notable names include Rachel Halderson as one of the returning players to this year's roster, and of course Rio Pierre, a player highlighting the rookie names, the first-time players that are going to be here. Haley Braun is also going to be making a return to this team. She, I believe, used to play in the MFHL, actually, for the Winnipeg Ice. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that is the case for Haley Braun, though, for the Saskatoon Stars. I could also be just getting the name mixed up, right? Maybe Haley Braun is... maybe it is a more common name than I'm really giving it credit for. But congratulations to those 15 players from the MFHL for cracking this year's roster and getting to represent Team Manitoba at this event where they placed silver last year. So looking for gold this time around. As for in the MFHL, last week's action, week 17, started off with the Winnipeg Ice taking on the Interlake Lightning, and it ended with the Interlake Lightning hosting the Winnipeg Ice. But we throw it back to last Thursday again in a game which started off, with a 1-0 lead for the Interlake Lightning, and then the Winnipeg Ice would end up taking over. There was controversy, and there was a whole lot of emotions last Thursday at the Hockey for All Center on the Flynn Rink, where it was also Seniors Appreciation Night, 7 seniors getting recognized for their achievements, for their careers with the Winnipeg Ice, with that club. Laura Melissa, as you can see there, receiving her flowers. All 7 players received flowers and recognition. Out of the 7 seniors, Caitlin Moffat also came on the ice to receive her flowers, but was suspended for that game. We go to the first goal of the game in Georgia O'Neill sniping after receiving a stretch pass to make it 1-0. But in terms of the controversy, here's where it would start. Now 1-1, Stephanie Jacob finishing a hard hit on number 5 in Minkus. Minkus would end up leaving the game. Play wouldn't be stopped for a while here as we keep going. Refs would finally blow the whistle, and as you can see, Natalie Rampton losing it, or not Natalie Rampton, Coach Rafter, Tatiana Rafter, losing her mind on the bench, rightfully so. There would be no call on the play, as we would remain scoreless for the end, until the end of that first period, where in the second period, going to there, Stephanie Jacob would find Annika Russell in front, and Winnipeg wouldn't be just done there in that frame.
By Sugimoto. This puck still held in at the line. Wide open, Nicholas Dangle scores!
Well, you don't want to do that, leaving Chloe Nicholas out in front. She would dangle for her 6th goal of the season. The Ice would add on 2 more goals in the third period, starting off with this one from AP Kate Cairns, banging home her rebound, her initial shot on that rebound to give the Ice the 4-1 lead. Like I said, the Winnipeg Ice would hold on to win that one. Stephanie Jacob would add her 2nd of the game to win it by a score of 5-1. And as for the standings in the league, the Winnipeg Ice, they ended up finishing their weekend off with a loss, of course, to the Interlake Lightning. So the Lightning ended up getting their revenge. The Ice can clinch a first place berth in the MFHL standings with at least a win or even a point in extra time this weekend coming up. They'll be going up against some tough competition, though, as we take a look at the upcoming schedule for those games. Talking about Saturday, first off, of course, the Winnipeg Ice is going to be in Shoal Lake to take on the Yellowhead Chiefs, and then the next day, going to be, or I guess on Friday, that is, starting their weekend off on Friday, in Hartney in 2 days' time at 7:30 p.m., so not really easy matchups for this team to end off their season on, but hey, you're going to be playing tough competition come playoff time, so to be honest, at this point in the season, doesn't really matter who they end off their season against. I guess for them, they'd rather play a lesser team in a way to have an easier chance, but like me and Brooke Barylski talked about, well, what she really alluded to, and it's been so true this season, is on any given night, any team can beat anybody no matter what place you are, and Interlake's demonstrated that with 2 wins over the Winnipeg Ice this season. I had a chance, actually, going back to that hit on Minkus that put her out of the game. It should have been a 2-minute penalty, and because of injury, Stephanie Jacob should have been tossed from that game. So, yeah, just touching on that one last time. Found this out from someone within the league at the MFHL, and yeah, they couldn't believe it either that it wasn't a penalty. Even though it was a clean hit, by hit standards, it wasn't clean for the female game because there's no body contact allowed. But Stephanie Jacob, I mean, what a player she is. Plays with a bit of an edge, as we've seen this season. Competes really hard, and that's what you gotta love out of your captain. And you also gotta love seeing, well, what these statistics have looked like and continue to look like from Stephanie Jacob this season. It's safe to say I think she's locked up the scoring race, the scoring title at 45 points in 25 games played. Ivy Perkin, though, what a season for her, and honestly a bunch of the rookies in this league. And Rio Pierre as well, tied with Ivy Perkin for 30 points in those 26 games played. Rio Pierre with more assists than Perkin, but Perkin having the advantage in the goals. And yeah, I mean, the points, this list has been growing in terms of who's tied, who's trying to break into the top 5. Celine Walsdy and Mackenzie Lazat still there near the bottom of the list. And hey, Hannah Ray moving up a bit in this list as well. We'll go over to the goal scorers. Stephanie Jacob, of course, will be locking this title up, but Ivy Perkin in her rookie season, 16 goals, second place in the MFHL in that category. Then there's a logjam at the back end of this list. We're talking 4 players tied with 12 goals each, and even in the middle there, starting with Hannah Ray, Dare Thompson, with the players with 13, Reese Schutte as well. All with 13 goals. So it's tight there, besides the huge lead that Stephanie Jacob has. As for the assist leaders, it's not as big of a lead. Chloe Nicholas for the Winnipeg Ice still leads with 1 less game played than Rio Pierre. She won't be playing a full season, but yeah, could we see Rio Pierre potentially take over and be the assist leader at the end of this weekend? If she does have a big weekend, we'll have to wait and see to find out on next week's edition of the MFHL Podcast next Wednesday. Stay tuned. But Avery Lazarenko, the only defenseman showing up here in these stat categories, 15 assists in 25 games played, and a phenomenal play she made last week on the tying goal at 1-1. Against the Interlake Lightning, which unfortunately we didn't catch it on camera, which still not very happy about that, but life goes on. And for these goaltenders, I mean, life's been going pretty darn good for Danica Averill this season. 17 games played, 12 wins, 3 losses. One of those wins coming in OT, one of those losses coming in extra time. A .929 save percentage. Sure, no shutouts, but she has been steady as the season's gone along. Westman has raised their level in front of her as the season's gone along as well. Laura Melissa's still near the top of these standings, 11 wins, a .932 save percentage, 3 shutouts. Tomes ties her mark there in the shutouts with 3, as well as her teammate in Bailey Grunwald, who has 3. All of these goaltenders with a save percentage of at least .920. Natalie Rampton, even though she has the worst save percentage on this list, is nothing to snuff at all. .920 save percentage, pretty fantastic, especially with her in her final season, reaching the best level she's been playing at this point in her career, with the 2 shutouts in there as well. But yeah, as we show you guys one last time, as we get a sponsor up here again, rolling with Terrico, showing you one last time the standings in the league heading into this final full weekend of play. It's not certain that the Ice have locked up first place yet, but outside of them, I mean, the 5th place to 2nd place spots, I'm really excited to see what happens here. Of course, Interlake can't get any better than sixth place in the standings at this point, but it's going to be exciting to see how many wins they can finish this season off with. Could they potentially get to 12? I mean, they're facing opponents where that could be the case, even though, like we talked about already, anyone can beat anyone on any given night in this league. Expect for Interlake to come ready to play this weekend. And as for the schedules for this upcoming week, we'll show you it one last time. Starting off with Friday, Central Plains hosting the Pembina Valley Hawks at 7:30 p.m. in Portage La Prairie, the BDO Center for the community. The Westman Wildcats at home in Hartney, staying home for their 2-game weekend to take on the Winnipeg Ice at 7:30. Moving on to Saturday's action, quadruple header starting in the afternoon at 2:30 with Yellowhead hosting the Winnipeg Ice in their home barn at Shoal Lake. Central Plains taking on the Lightning at 4 in Arborg. Pembina Valley taking on Eastman at the Niverville Recreation Center, and the Winnipeg Avers taking on the Westman Wildcats in Hartney at 7:30 to conclude this weekend with a triple header. Interlake at home again in Arborg to finish off their weekend against the Pembina Valley Hawks. Yellowhead taking on the Avros in Shoal Lake, and Eastman taking on Central Plains in Niverville at the Recreation Center on Super Bowl Sunday evening. And as for G-Show Productions, the night before, not sure if you can quite call it Super Bowl level, but this is going to be an interesting game, I think. The Pembina Valley Hawks looking to come in and shock the world how the season's been going. Eastman is the third place team, of course. Heading into this weekend, they'll be looking to continue and finish off their season strong in one of their final home games of the season for their third final home game of this, or their second last home game of the season on the Sunday. The third last home game of the season will have the puck drop on at 4:15. G-Show Productions will bring you the pregame show from the Niverville Rec Center at 4 p.m. this Sunday on February 10th. Coming up, congratulations to Stephanie Jacob and to Danica Averill for winning Player and Goaltender of the Week. Once again, thank you to Terrico and Make Cannon Fasteners and Tools, as well as goaltenders for sponsoring this edition of the MFHL Podcast. Myself, Graham the G-Show Forsyth, will be back with you after this quick transition for some final words here for episode 15 of the official Manitoba Female Hockey League podcast here on G-Show Productions and gshow.ca. Stick with me, folks, for a bit more coming up here to end off this Wednesday night. Well, you made it to the end of this edition, another episode of the MFHL Podcast for episode 12. I've been your host, Graham the G-Show Forsyth. Thank you once again to Midcannon Fasteners and Tools, as well as Terrico, and to Goaltenders for sponsoring this edition of the MFHL Podcast. They'll be sponsoring next week's edition of the show too, which will be coming to you guys on Wednesday night. Like I said, more guests and members from around the MFHL, maybe a coach, maybe even someone from the league board will be joining the show. You'll have to wait and find out. Details will be posted for next week's episode at some point before that episode on our social media platforms. Descriptions on where you can find us on different social media apps are down below. We'll also have details on our website. But yeah, I'm super excited for our second last MFHL game day regular season game of the season coming up this Saturday, 4:15 puck drop at the Niverville Recreation Center. Highlights of that game will be included in next week's episode. And with playoffs starting, folks, might be doing a playoff preview show type of thing. Make it fun coming in. You're gonna have predictions and stuff like that. But yeah, can't believe this season's almost coming to a close. Honestly, really like Eugene Kaminsky said, and I'll say it again, not really a clear-cut favorite heading into this year's playoffs. And yeah, still a lot to be sorted out in terms of who places exactly where in the standings heading into what should be one of the most entertaining playoffs, I'd say, in the league's history coming up here for 2023-2024. Check back here on G Show Productions for next week. If you're on our YouTube channel here right now, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any episodes like this and content like this coming out in the future. But until next Wednesday, folks, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, peacing out, saying have a wonderful and safe weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hope to have you guys tuning in to MFHL Game Day for the Eastman Selects and the Pembina Valley Hawks coming up on Saturday afternoon. Stay safe out there, everybody. Enjoy all the great hockey coming your way and all the great things you may be doing on your time off. And till next Wednesday night, everybody. Take care. See you later.